Good evening. Welcome to The Big Question here on NDTV Profit. I'm Vikram Oza. Tonight, we're talking about a new kind of cyber threat, one that does not wear a hoodie. It does not need sleep even. In fact, it doesn't wait for any kind of instructions. What we're talking about is right up there. It's called Mythos. So what is Mythos? It's a powerful new artificial intelligence system. It has been developed by Anthropic as part of its broader Claude platform. This is, of course, the company's most advanced model so far. It's designed to do a very critical job, which is to find hidden vulnerabilities in existing software. And it does that at alarming speed. It does it at a scale that humans simply cannot match. So let me tell you, this is what Mythos can do. It can identify deeply buried security flaws. And that includes your zero-day and your decades-old weaknesses. And it's across operating systems, it's across browsers, cloud platforms, and complex enterprise software. So these are gaps that we are talking about that human experts may have missed over time, often for years. It's the same capability that can help secure systems, which can also be used to break into them. So yes, we are talking about a vulnerability, about fixing it and protecting it from the same ecosystem. It is precisely why Mythos has become controversial, because Anthropic has refused to release it publicly because the risks are so high. They're warning that in the wrong hands, Mythos could pose serious cybersecurity and national security risks. So access has been restricted to a small group of major corporations and institutions. So companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Nvidia, Cisco, even JP Morgan, they get access. That way, the vulnerabilities can be fixed before they are actually exploited by hackers, by bad actors. And yet governments, they are very worried because the stakes are enormous. Financial networks or power grids, hospitals, telecom systems, and government infrastructure, all of these are at risk. They could all be exposed. And that too, it could happen faster than regulators or any kind of cyber defenders can actually respond to the crisis. So current cyber laws and oversight frameworks, they were never designed for autonomous AI systems that are capable of this, of uncovering and then potentially exploiting weaknesses at the kind of scale that we are talking about that Mythos is capable of. And here in India, the concern has reached the highest levels as well. So the finance minister has taken a look at it and flagged Mythos as a new and poorly understood threat, as it were. She is warning that existing protections may not be sufficient and has been directing banks to work together on a coordinated response to the Mythos threat. So AI itself, she has said, may have to be used to counter AI-led risks. Hence the issue. The issue is this: when machines can find weaknesses faster than humans can actually fix them, then cybersecurity, economic stability, and national defense, all of these become one single risk, which is why our big question tonight. So as the Mythos threat is now deepening, as it were, and we're talking about it going beyond the banking sector, across all sectors, not restricted to one government, but across the world, then what do we do? Are we ready for AI-led cyber attacks? That's the core question right now. Can we even keep up with all that AI is capable of and what it can do? The harms that it can cause, but what about the kind of opportunities that exist over there as well? All of that in this debate we call the big question, and we've got a great panel to tackle this. Let me introduce you to them. Joining us on the show tonight, we have S. Chandrasekhar with us. He's Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer at KNS DigiProtect Services Private Limited. Good to have you. That's a company into cybersecurity and digital risk protection. We're also joined by Pawan Duggal. Pawan Duggal is a leading cybersecurity and technology law expert, and he tracks the legal and governance challenges that emerge from the AI-driven threats. Also with us is Abhinandan Jain, Chief Customer Experience, Growth and Delivery Officer at Iono. He brings in the enterprise and customer-facing perspective on how organizations could potentially be responding to this fast-evolving AI-led risks. And joining us as well is Sharat Chandra. He's founder of EmpowerEdge Ventures. And they're into advising companies and policymakers on strategy and risk. And we'll get that impact on the banking sector, especially from him. So let's begin the conversation, gentlemen. Thanks for making the time for the big question. And I'd request you to raise your hand every time you have something to add or perhaps disagree on with your co-panelists. I'll come to you as soon as I can. But let me start by asking Mr. Chandrasekhar, this is about cyber security in the age of AI. So if an AI system like Mythos can find these critical flaws faster than humans can or ever could, has cybersecurity already lost that traditional advantage it had?
Yeah, you can argue that it has lost the traditional advantage if the cybersecurity experts think in a traditional way. So we'll have to rely on human ingenuity to beat the machine. For example, there are certain kind of human behavior when a human interacts with a machine. For example, the mistakes, the corrections. Suppose you are typing a document, you would probably go back and forth, back and forth. If a machine is doing it, you would get it in straight lines. So that is some kind of a behavioral thing which a system can easily flag if there is an AI trying to do some kind of scanning of the network. Secondly, many other kinds of vulnerabilities, in addition to the behavior, the time taken for a login. An AI will log in maybe hundreds of times in a second. A human cannot do that. So there are many possible measures which human ingenuity can rely on in order to try and defeat this threat. But yes, I fully agree there is a threat.
There is a threat, and human ingenuity is going to be tested to its fullest. Mr. Duggal, where do you place human ingenuity in able to, take this on? The specter of cyber warfare. Are we now in that phase where these cyber attacks can happen faster than detection or even investigation? Even that decision making, which is crucial, very important, it has to be very fast by humans. Are we in that stage where we are able to tackle this?
Humans are already lagging behind. So if you think that we are still in control, then you are obviously dreaming in the daytime. The Mythos release tells us that this technology is moving at a far bigger pace than what we are currently imagining. Consequently, we as a race have failed to put in adequate legal guardrails for the purposes of ensuring that this artificial intelligence does not get misused against human interest. You may talk about human in the loop, but if you have no legal guardrails well in place, even the human in the loop as a paradigm is likely to fail. And now with the world exceedingly moving towards not just agentic AI, but also artificial general intelligence, and finally converging onto super intelligence in the next few years, I think the time has started ticking. We have to wake up out of our deep slumber. Unfortunately, we think AI is only 2x, but actually AI is already working at 20x the speed.
Yes.
With the result, our ability to conceptualize this paradigm, our ability to try to control this paradigm is getting diminished with each passing day. Therefore, the quicker we start coming up with legal frameworks and legal guardrails, the better it is. But let me also underline one basic fact. If you're expecting AI law to totally go and control AI, that's not going to be happening. Why? Because we'll have to deal with this entire problem from a holistic angle, from a technical angle, from a governance angle, from a legal angle, from an accountability angle, and also from a social angle per se. So every of these initiatives and approaches will have to converge together. Otherwise, this new release tells us that now a 12-year-old boy will be more than sufficient to go and put the entire electricity grid of a major nation down in just a few minutes. All it requires is just small bit of ingenuity on how you can misuse this. And mind you, we already have news that hackers are waiting with the eager breath to go ahead and hack into this exercise. So I think we are in for some very stormy days ahead. The quicker we start put our acts together and the quicker we start getting prepared for this scenario, the better it is. Otherwise, let's prepare it. That like every day at sun rises, cyber security breaches will be the new normal, this time by AI, with the human ability to detect, investigate, or prosecute the same being virtually negligible.
So very interesting that you're saying what you are. The scary part of it is that a 12-year-old can do it. So when Mr. Chandrasekhar starts out by saying that it depends on human ingenuity to be able to take this on, you're saying that it might take human ingenuity to cause as much harm. Mr. Abhinandan Jain, when both attackers and defenders are going to be using AI, in your understanding of where we stand today, who really has the edge today? And why do you think that one has the edge over the other between the attackers and the defenders?
No, great question, Vikram. So let me start by framing. See, cybersecurity hasn't lost, but the rules of the game have changed, right? So AI has shifted us, from a skill-based contest to a speed and scale contest, right? And right now, the speed favors the attackers. And why do I say that? To your question on who wins it, the attackers, or the defenders. See, on the defender side, you have to understand that the core systems are relatively hardened, right? It is the edges, which are dangerously exposed. You have vendor ecosystems, you have legacy integrations, you have APIs, and all of that. And then AI does not attack, a fortress, and even in the past, cybersecurity, you find cracks between systems. That's what Mythos is doing. It is 100 times, more faster than ever, to find those cracks. So it will be a speed question, where, yes, we will have to take more offensive stance, as cybersecurity professionals, to counter those threats, to have a much more coordinated, response to them.
So the coordinated response is the essential bit because like we heard Mr. Duggal point out as well, it's not just about legal, it's about governance and the social angle. There are several angles in which we'll have to go on the offensive over here. Sharat Chandra, like we started out by saying as well, it's not about just one sector either. This risk is no longer just about banks because that's how we started, or at least started getting the news about how it's likely to affect the banking system. And the finance minister got into this and got into a meeting to kind of have the Defense Act up and running. But how exposed are other sectors? The power grids, like Mr. Duggal was pointing out, the aviation sector, the healthcare, the telecom, the cloud supply chains. How exposed are they even as we speak?
Vikram, as you rightly said, right, so this threat is sector agnostic. And what this Mythos model has also done is it has also exposed the fallacy of containment of AI models. So when this model was released to a limited set of people, it was reported that the hackers were able to get access to Mythos the very same day. There are reports in the media. So what this also tells us that nothing is beyond hacking, even some of these cyber permissive models. What is needed is, and even the finance minister rightly pointed out, what is needed is a coordinated effort among regulators, governments, industry bodies like say NASCOM, MIT, right, and similar counterparts in the US, because collaboration and joint, let's say, combat of these nefarious activities by say rogue actors is needed to put these models in check, because the fallacy of containment is out there for everyone to see, right? And this is not the first time it's going to happen. In fact, Jensen Huang, NVIDIA CIO, also said that Mythos was trained on a very mundane set of chips. So even China, let's say the adversary, can easily develop these models, right? And even the Anthropic CEO admitted that a new set of model can easily come in the next 6 to 12 months. So this is not a random development. This will keep on happening. And what is needed is the more governments, regulators, industry bodies coordinate and collaborate and decide a mechanism how to fight this menace.
So among the four of you, right now, Mr. Chandrasekhar was sounding most optimistic to be able to take on the challenge. Mr. Chandrasekhar, even if you're able to discover the vulnerabilities in a system, I want to ask you if you think that the interconnected systems, can they realistically fix the vulnerabilities quickly enough before they are actually exploited by bad actors?
No, it is not going to happen in real time. So let us not discount the seriousness of the threat.
Okay.
But I am optimistic that we will find a way out. So the way we will architect the systems in future will be very different, and this new architecture will take into account the possibility of attacks by machine, large-scale kind of scanning, and things like that. So we need a lot of ingenious ways of architecting new systems, architecting the new cybersecurity, so that we can counter this threat.
Do we have that? Do we have that capability right now? Let me turn around and ask Mr. Duggal, do you think we have the ability to create such architectures? Are governments and regulators genuinely equipped to understand what these autonomous AI threats are, or are the policies lagging too far behind technology right now, or even capabilities at HR level?
Clearly, when I look at the global ecosystem, I find that barring some small islands of excellence, most of the countries are still sleeping away to glory and they are in a state of complacency without realizing that here is an urgent, immediate emergency that's come up that needs to be tackled with. But the reality is also as under, which is that internationally speaking, there's no one international treaty on artificial intelligence which is being agreed to by nation states. The Council of Europe has started working in that regard, but it's a very regional kind of initiative. I think the focus is very clear. The world is getting fragmented.
True.
You have the European Union coming up with the EU AI Act. You, on the other hand, you have coming up the US coming up with an approach that no, let market decide. Why do we need regulation? To a more top-down approach from China. I think the bottom line is that we will have to come up with common minimum denominators for AI accountability. I recently launched the AI accountability framework and also the agentic AI liability framework. You will have to come up with legal principles. Existing law is broken. You cannot make the existing law applicable to artificial intelligence.
Right.
Why? Because of the unique problems and challenges that artificial intelligence as a paradigm has brought forward. So you will have to come up with more creative new frameworks, have to adopt them simultaneously, and at the same time, also straddle liability to the concerned companies, the developers, the deployers of liability should the AI models be used. My problem is with the agentic AI going ahead and taking autonomous decisions on your behalf, you're getting to a situation where human control is getting more and more relegated to the background. If that
Right.
being the case, I think we have to quickly come up with the governance frameworks. The states of the world cannot just say, oh, let me go my way. Your national laws cannot control artificial intelligence, which is the global paradigm, which has made geography history. And now with this paradigm being used for breaching cybersecurity, here is a direct threat to the cyber sovereignty and artificial intelligence sovereignty of countries, apart from their physical sovereignty. So the quicker I think we come up with rules and regulations, quicker we start implementing them, the better it is. Let's not allow these big tech companies
Right.
to make the global south the guinea pigs of their laboratories and let the global south just be the testing laboratories. I think every
So a
nation
global
state will have to have a
coordinated effort is the need of the hour. Do you agree, Mr. Chandrasekhar? You were making a point there.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm just adding to what my friend Pawan said. So we have very good precedents on this. We have the missile technology control regime. You have the non-proliferation treaty. Then you had treaties on control of biological weapons. So these were some international frameworks which tried to cap dangerous technologies from getting proliferated and reaching hands which are not that responsible. So we have such precedents. So basis those precedents, we can work on something for artificial intelligence as well.
So you think with those kind of precedents, but here you talk about technology working at the speed and scale that it is. Mr. Jain, do you think that's possible? Is there a real possibility as well? When you talk about AI-led cyber attacks, one wonders if it's going to trigger some cascading failures, because it's not going to be restricted to a sector, like Sharat Chandra is pointing out, financial markets, infrastructure, the essential services, a domino effect. Do you think that is a possibility? And to be able to tackle that, the globally coordinated effort is the need of the hour. But do you think existing frameworks can actually help to be able to have that kind of globally coordinated defense system? Abhinandan Jain, you are on mute.
Sorry. So governments understand the threat intellectually, okay, but I don't think they understand it operationally. Okay, and then what's missing is, what you really just said. What is your real-time cyber readiness? Which
Yes.
is not about policy documents. Okay, what is the cross-sector simulation and drills that we can do to prevent, the whole, domino effect, which we're talking about. Today we are not talking about that. No one is preparing for that. What is the accountability frameworks for AI misuse, to what we were talking about the policies earlier. Okay. And even, uneven cyber maturity across sectors. You take different sectors, take banking is more mature.
Yes.
Okay. But if I go to say utilities, okay, utilities is not mature enough today. Or you go to other essential services, which happens in a country. And that is why, the preparedness is very fragmented. It is
True.
not systematic.
True.
So today, if you were to ask me, are we prepared? Are we doing enough? No. And then AI just exposes, our inertia, to be talking about these things, maybe 5 years back.
Right. So, Sharat Chandra, if this AI is able to independently identify and exploit a certain kind of weakness in a system, then it's about the legal accountability, also the ethical accountability. Will that lie with the developer? Will it lie with the deployer? Or then no one at all? Because, AI is growing and it's doing things by itself.
Right. So, see, in the Indian context, if you just look at AI, right? So RBI came up with a free AI framework where explainability and accountability is clearly defined. If the platform or developer is creating a model and that wreaks havoc, then the developer and the platform is accountable. But in the case of, let's say, Mythos, right, where the platform developer is outside and our regulators are still seeking access to the model, then it's very difficult to impose accountability or culpability on a foreign entity. This is where, to Pawan sir's point, it's important to create a framework or a joint coordinated effort so that some of the legal accountabilities can be fixed on entities which are not residing in India, though they are maybe working with Indian entities. But how do you enforce accountability with those players? Let's say Anthropic for that matter, right?
Yes.
Anthropic has presence in Bangalore, but let's say if something Mythos related happens, I'm not sure what is the legal framework India will be able to pursue to bring Anthropic to book.
Mr. Duggal, this is about how to kind of take this on. If you're talking about accountability and many other issues that you yourself pointed out, what Mr. Sharat Chandra is pointing is going to be a huge challenge, don't you think?
It's going to be a humongous challenge. Also complicating the entire scenario is a scenario that these kind of AI models can then now be used in their dark version on the dark net by cyber criminals who can then get immunity or that nobody's ever able to catch up with them. So bottom line is what? I think we'll have to begin immediately by taking it as a global emergency. Why? Because right now, countries are not even talking together on what should be the accountability measures. On 14th of May, we are doing the International AI Accountability Forum. We're trying to understand what should be the legal principles. But the problem is technology is not giving you that particular breadth, that particular time and the speed. Therefore, I think you have to drop all your web weapons, start focusing on AI. If you're able to meet up with that particular challenge by coming up with your national laws, ultimately global norms, that will be the best way forward. This is even more complicated because most of the countries don't yet have dedicated cybersecurity laws. And the existing small group of nations who have AI laws do not talk of the intersection of AI and cybersecurity.
But Mr. Duggal, since you were talking about dropping weapons, I want to quickly ask you, are you already seeing the early signs of an AI-driven cyber arms race that would be fought between nations, even if it is not being actually acknowledged publicly? Do you see that happening?
It's already begun. We just have to open up our eyes. And most of the companies are not even telling you. Artificial intelligence has begun to start having a primitive level of consciousness. It knows the context. And now with its ability to go ahead and use programs like Mythos in a manner to breach not just the cybersecurity of individual systems, but of sovereign networks, sovereign LLMs, you actually have a ball of fire in your hands. You have no choices but to deal with it on an immediate basis. Otherwise, this AI is going to be weaponized by big tech companies to further go ahead and engage in digital colonialism to make people as their cognitive slaves and for the purposes of further prejudicially impacting democratic traditions. So it's a huge challenge. The race has begun. We need to wake up and try to see, can we stop the race? If we can't, can we try to protect ourselves? So that
how do we protect ourselves? Mr. Jain, very quickly, I'm running out of time, so I'm quickly going to you as well. Our organizations today, do they have any credible defense against AI systems that are continuously learning and adapting and probing for new weaknesses? Do they have them so far?
No, today they have them. Today, while, we are saying, yes, the attackers are becoming smarter, I think organizations have become smarter too. We have the tools, we have the technology, it is just at the pace of which you will deploy. Because at the end of the day, you will drive deterrence through capability. Okay, and then that is going to become the mantra as to who is faster and who is deploying it. Today, I see a lot of development, happening within, all of our, customer base, which I'm talking to.
Yes. So, Sharat Chandra, very quickly, are we responding fast enough now to AI-led cyber threats? Are we already falling behind the curve? What's your assessment as of now? Because in a world where AI can keep discovering new loopholes, the zero trust security is not going to be enough, clearly.
I think we are responding with the right alacrity, with the right intent. Even yesterday, Certain issued advisory to even MSMEs and organizations how to respond to frontier-led AI attacks. But a lot will also depend upon the current environment, right, where the cyber warfare has already begun. I think after currency wars, cyber wars are going to be a norm. A lot will depend upon how much India is able to extract collaboration from global bodies, right, especially on this front.
Well, as we've heard tonight, this is not just about new technology. It's about how fast the rules of security, of risk, of responsibility, how soon they're going to be rewritten by AI. And Mythos may be one system that we're talking about tonight, but the direction is quite clear. The cyber battlefield is changing, and it's changing very fast. My thanks to all our panelists for joining us and putting the spotlight on this important development, and it's unfolding before us. S. Chandrasekhar, Pawan Duggal, Abhinandan Jain, Sharat Chandra, thank you indeed for your insights and perspectives on a challenge that is cutting across technology and policy and business and national security as well. So there you have it. I mean, this is the start of an important debate. How quickly we are going to move on laws, on entire systems to be able to take on the challenges that AI poses now is right here before us. It's happening even as we speak. We'll keep tracking how we are able to take on the threats of artificial intelligence. I'm Vikram Oza, from me and the entire team on The Big Question. Good evening.